Lie on your back with your knees bent and your knees and feet hip distance apart. Your neck, shoulders and arms should be nice and relaxed with your hands down by your sides. Focus on the bony bits of your pelvis at the front and imagine you have headlights on them shining up to the ceiling. Now roll these headlights to point down towards your toes and then bring them up towards your head in the opposite direction. This will cause your pelvis to rock forwards and backwards, making your back arch away from the mat and then flatten down into the mat. Try and keep your ribs nice and relaxed throughout this movement. Repeat this movement a few times, feeling the extremes of the range that you have, and then try and rest in the middle, what we call pelvic neutral, and maintain this throughout any further exercise you may do. Lay on your front with your hands placed underneath your forehead and your knees and feet hip distance apart. Focus on the bony bits of your pelvis at the front, which will currently be resting down onto the mat or floor. Imagine you have headlights on these bony points and try and shine these headlights down towards your toes and then the opposite way up towards your head. Alternatively, think about your pelvis being like a bucket and try and tip that water forwards onto the mat and then try and rotate it the opposite way, avoiding spilling it. Repeat these movements a few times, feeling the extremes of the movements. Try not to overwork through your lower back muscles. And then try and rest in the middle, whereby the bony bits of your pelvis should be raised off the floor. And try and focus on this position throughout any exercises you may complete. Another tip is to imagine there is a small grape underneath these bony bits of your hips, and you want to avoid squashing them throughout any other exercise. Sit on a chair with your knees and feet hip distance apart. Ensure your feet are resting flat on the floor and your knees and hips are bent to approximately 90 degrees. Sit forward slightly in the chair so there is a gap between your back and the chair rest. Imagine your pelvis is like a bucket of water, and we're going to tip that water forwards and then roll your pelvis back to tip the water out behind. Alternatively, focus on the bony bits of your hips at the front and imagine you have headlights on them. Shine the headlights down towards your feet and then up towards your head. Try and remain upright throughout this exercise, avoiding using your shoulders and upper back too much to create this movement. Repeat the movement a few times to feel the extremes of the movement, and then try and focus and maintain a mid position, pelvic neutral. Try and maintain this whenever you are sitting or completing any other exercise from this start position. Stand with your knees and feet hip distance apart and place your hands on your hips. Imagine your pelvis is like a bucket of water. I'm going to try and tip your pelvis forward to empty the water out of the front and then rotate the opposite way, tipping the water out of the back. Alternatively, imagine that the bony bits of your pelvis on the front have headlights on. Shine the headlights down towards your toes, shine the headlights up towards your head. Try and maintain upright throughout this exercise, focusing the movement around your pelvis and low back, avoiding your shoulders and upper back doing too much of the movement. Feel the extremes of the range that you have whilst tilting forwards and backwards, and then try and rest in the middle, known as pelvic neutral. Try and maintain this whenever you are standing or completing any exercises from a standing position.